Melvin Brown, better known as Mel. My grandmother, she had some names that she gave my mother. There was 10 of us kids. I had two sisters older than me, and then I had, they was 4 boys and, no, 5 boys and 5 girls in my family. And then my little, my youngest, the youngest little boy died about 2 weeks after he was born. So then on, and my 2 sisters, older than me, we all went to school together. Back in those days, you just, there wasn't no, there was a school bus, but you had to live about 3 or 4 miles from the school for the bus to even pick you up. So we lived about, I'd say 150, 200 yards from the schoolhouse. And that's where we went, we went to school there. And
so you didn't take the bus? You just walked?
No, we just walked across the pasture to the school. And I guess, I don't know, I'm 93. I'll be 94, and let me see, my birthday is November 22nd. And I've just been fortunate to get the Lord taking care of me, and I go to church. I'm a Christian, always have been, always will be, and so I'm a deacon in our church, and I'm very active up there, and Brother Mark, our pastor, is a good friend of mine. And sometimes some people say, well, do you ever see Mel anymore? He said, yeah, every day. So I'm always up there aggravating them, not aggravating them, but just be available. And I've got a lot of friends I've lost due to deaths and all that kind of stuff. I got 2 right now that's near death with cancer. And
are those fellows that you were in the war with? Or?
No, I wasn't in the war with them. It's just some of my church friends.
Okay. Do you have any friends remaining from the war that you served with?
No, the only one that I had, his name was Darwin Floyd, and he and I landed on the beach on D-Day. Well, there's 3 of us together out of the company, and one got killed that day, D-Day, and then the second one, a good friend of mine, lived in Clarksville, Texas, and he died about a month and a half ago. And his name was Darwin Floyd, and he was in the maintenance part of our company. Kept the trucks and all that kind of stuff. And we had a bulldozer, a Caterpillar bulldozer that we carried with us all the time to, sometimes them Germans would get a little mean, so we just have to get a little meaner. And I know the only time, I guess I'll have to answer someday, thou shalt not murder or kill somebody, but it's either them or me, and I wasn't ready to go. So, I guess I showed you that article out of the paper, didn't I?
Yes.
I guess one day I'll have to answer to the good Lord how. Maybe He won't hold me too responsible for taking care of those Germans.
Well, you were on the right side of history. There's no question about that. They needed stopped. Adolf
Hitler was, You know, he was, I guess if he'd kept on going, he'd probably, all of Europe would have been under his control, probably.
It'd be a completely different world if not for your
Yeah,
generation.
right. And I think people like me and others that was in the war, World War II, World War II is a lot different than it is today over in that country over there where we've been. We've lost a lot of
Iraq?
Iraq, yeah. And I didn't. I'm not a great fan of that deal. And
Didn't need to happen.
didn't need to happen. I like, as the presidents of the United States, George Bush Sr. was one of my favorites.
He knew not to invade and occupy Iraq.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But George Bush, he was on the deck of one of the carriers, you know, and he got to blowing up his chest and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that caused a lot of problem over there. We're lucky that somebody hadn't. You know what I told them dudes over there? I told them, you know, we got a little pill that they call the A-bomb, and I think some people in Japan could probably tell you to don't fool with the United States of America. Really. I'd have mentioned that to him. You got his attention?
Yeah.
My youngest sister, she has Alzheimer's, and she's in Sulphur Springs, Texas. She's down there in a hospital, not a hospital, but it's where they take care of those type of people, you know.
Yeah. Assisted living kind of.
Yeah. And then my brother, Charles, the youngest one, he still lives in Houston.
Yeah.
And his son, Billy Ray Brown, is on national TV. He takes care of the women's golf deal. And you can see him on TV quite often. And I had two sisters older than me, and I was number 3.
Okay. Wow. So you had 7 younger than you.
Yes.
And the one that passed away.
Yeah. Right.
Can you name them all?
Sure. There was Hubert and Dalton, James Dalton, Alvis, and Mary, my little sister, the youngest one. Bringing back old memories, it's sort of heartbreaking, you know what I mean? Because we lived on a farm, sharecropper and all that kind of stuff.
That's what your father was?
Yes.
Sharecropper?
Yeah.
What about your mother? Raising the family?
She was from Oklahoma. And I didn't know, I never did. My grandmother, I've seen her a time or two, but I don't remember too much about her. My dad's name was Willie L. Brown, and he was in World War I. I think he was a corporal or a sergeant one. I don't know which. He's in the infantry part of it. And then my mother's name was Mary Ethel. McMillan was her last name. But we never did get to, I don't know, she lost contact with her parents in Oklahoma. The farm is north of Mount Vernon. I still own my place. It's north of Mount Vernon, Highway 37, like you're going to Oklahoma or Clarksville, Texas.
And you were born out there?
I was born in that area, but I wasn't born there. As a matter of fact, my wife's dad, she inherited our place, our ranch down there. You know, in a big family like that, normally sometimes kids get, and I've heard of them, you know, they couldn't get along with their brothers or sisters and never speak or, you know, never visit and all that kind of stuff. That's not in our deal. course, us boys, we used to scrap a little bit, fight, you know, and wrestle and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
we never did. We never did really do a lot of bad things.
That's good. So your adolescence, what was that like?
Real good.
Get in trouble?
Well, just like, well, not no more than any other kid would, you know.
Went to high school out in that area?
Yeah, I went to Mount Vernon High School. We rode a bus to Mount Vernon. But out in Hagensport, the school out there was went through the 9th grade. There's a lot of country schools that went through the 9th grade. And back in those days, it wasn't the 12th grade, it was 11th grade. That was top of the high school, you know, as high as you could go. And but it was, you know, we had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, the government had a program that they called WPA.
Yeah, that's what my grandfather was in.
Yeah. So I think my dad, he worked in it. I think he got, I don't know, it's $30-something a month, or, you know.
Yeah.
But back in them days, you know, a family of 5 or 6 could live on $5 or $6 a week, really.
Yeah.
That don't mean you had steak and all that kind of stuff, but you know, everybody raised their own garden, had a garden, raised their own peas and corn and all that kind of stuff. So it worked out pretty good. They built the WPA, and they built all this stuff out here at White Rock Lake.
Oh, really?
You know that building out there?
Yeah, I know exactly what
Those
you're talking
park benches and all that kind of stuff. That's built by WPA.
about. That's awesome.
And that thing, it was financed by the government, you know what I mean. And we have at our church, we have every third, we have Friday Night Live, and everybody comes over there, and there's about 40, sometimes 38 to 50, comes over there, and everybody brings a little something to eat, you know, if you want to. My wife generally makes a couple of pies and that sort of thing. There used to be, we lived in the country over close to Bogota, Texas. And my brother-in-law that married my oldest sister, we rode horses over there. And we tied them horses up behind the theater.
Really?
And we go in and watch them shows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'd come out and go home. Oh man, we had a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff.
How old were you then at that time?
Oh, probably 14, 15, 16, somewhere along in there.
Ride horses to the theater and tie the horses
Oh, yeah.
behind the theater.
We did that. And that old building, that old theater building is still old. They got some kind of a deal in it where at Bogota. And Bogota is in Red River County. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did extemporaneous speech. You know what that is? I won the state. I went to Austin. They had a meeting, you know, spelling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know how you could explain things, and I went to Austin to that thing and won state. All the girls in school, I went with nearly every one of them. And my wife went, she was going to the same school I was. See, I've been knowing her ever since she's in 3rd grade.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
And her friend, I used to go with her friend. Well, I don't know, it didn't work out too well. And then we had a school teacher that she was rather young. She just got out of commerce. She went to commerce. And she came down there, and she had a beautiful frame, I thought. And me and my buddy was sitting in English class, and she was, I don't know, anyway, we had rubber bands, and we rolled up paper and shot paper wads.
Yeah.
So we shot her on the butt a couple of times.
The teacher?
The teacher. Well, she looked around and she knew who it was, so she told old Truett Chandler was the English teacher, and he said, Melvin, I need to see you, and Roy Earl Crowson was the other kid. He said, I need to talk to y'all after school. And back in those days, on Friday nights, we went fishing or done something, duck hunting or something, and he always went with us. He said, did y'all, and her name was Emma Dale Dyer, I never will forget that.
Wow.
He said that somehow y'all must have, what was y'all shooting her on her bowhind for? And I said, well, I don't know, it just looks sort of pretty, so we decided we'd change the deal. He said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give y'all 10 licks each. And he had a 1x4 that was about this long, and they drilled some holes in it. And Roy Earl said, I'll take mine first. So he busted his butt about 5 licks, and he got up walking around, you know. He said, I'm going to have to cool off here a little bit. I said, I'm just going to take mine all at once. So he whipped our butts real good. And then Roy Earl got his, so we didn't throw no more paper wads or shoot no more paper wads at the teacher. I'll guarantee you that. Well, her dad never did really like me, and I really never did care too much about him. But when I was overseas and I came back to New York, I called her on the phone. And I told her I was in New York and I'd be home. I mean, I'd be in Dallas. And she lived over in Oak Cliff. Her and her first cousin, they had an apartment over there. So I told her about what time I'd get back home. And from then on till this day, she's still been my wife, and a good one. I'll guarantee you that.
How many years?
We've been married 50, I believe it's 56 or 57. 57 years we've been married. We went downtown and got at the county clerk's office and got our license. Then there's a guy that stayed around there all the time that was a preacher or something. And he said, y'all want to get married? I said, yeah, we were going to get married. He said, I can marry you. And we got married downtown the courthouse.
Old Red?
Huh?
In the Old Red courthouse?
Yeah, right. On the second floor, I believe it was. My daughter's name is Brenda Kay. And her last name is Gibney. And my oldest son is Larry, and he lives in Mesquite. And then my youngest son, he lives in Austin. No, not Austin, Pflugerville. And his name is Timothy Lynn. So we only had three kids.
Did you enjoy being a father?
Sure, I still enjoy being a father.
Well, I meant when you first became a father.
Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah. I thought that was great, you know. Which everybody should, you know, if they, when a little baby comes along and all that kind of stuff, I think you're sort of hard-hearted if you're not happy when you see or during your wife's pregnancy and all that kind of stuff.
I'm heading that way myself, finally.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy, they started talking about and Hitler was going crazy over there. And then they began to mention that, going to start the draft and all that kind of stuff. So I told my buddy, I said, Darwin, I said, the thing for us to do is to go down and join, and then we'll have some, if we get drafted, if they draft us, they can send us anywhere or put us in anything we want to do. So we go down to Mount Pleasant and we join up. And we go down to Fort Sam Houston's at San Antonio. If you join, you had an option about where you could go or what you could do. But if you didn't, they could, well, we're going to put you in the artillery, we're going to put you in a quartermaster, we're going to do this or do that. Well, we did some work for a sort of an orderly, and some of the colonels and generals down there at Fort Sam Houston. We had to go out at their houses and mop the floors and mow the yard and trim and all that kind of stuff. They used the GIs in place of having to hire somebody, outsiders, to do the yard and stuff. We did it, which wasn't a bad deal. Only thing I know about, we got one of the greatest countries in the world, and we got one of the greatest Air Force, and we also got one of the greatest ground troops that I think that's available anywhere. No country needs to, as far as I'm concerned, to fool with us, in other words. Because we're capable of taking care of anybody. That's my honest opinion of the deal.
Can we see your hat?
Can you see it?
Yeah, I just wanted to hold it up so the camera will see it.
Yeah.
So you're in the 2nd Infantry.
2nd Infantry Division. They was the 1st Infantry, and they was the first one on the beach. And we followed them on Omaha Beach on D-Day. But did I ever tell you how sick I got? We got on the beach, and the German pillboxes, you know what a pillbox was?
Is that where they were like sort of?
They had the big gun set up there.
Yeah.
I went in there and I had my boots on. And blood run in. There's so many German soldiers that the 1st Infantry that come along, literally hamburgered them, slaughtered them guys. And blood from them guys run in my boots. And I got sick. And I was sick for 3 days before I could eat or do anything. That nearly killed me, really. And it still works on me.
That whole experience obviously made you a stronger man.
That's right, made me. That's true. I guess that's true. Now, I don't know. I don't smoke. I don't drink. But that's not my. If somebody wants to drink, that's fine. It bothered me to a certain extent, but that don't. I've got a lot of friends that I run around with that drink, and sort of a little boy says crowds around, but. I love my wife, and I got too much respect for her to do that. I think any man that's trying to raise a family or is raising a family should have that much respect for his wife. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because really, they have to put up a bunch of shit anyway with a bunch of...
Yeah. You got enough they got to put up with.
That's right. They got enough to put up with.
Yeah. Just talking about, like, generally, are there any life lessons that you would like to tell your children or grandchildren or future generations?
Well, I think they all know. I think they all know how I feel about their families and all that kind of stuff. And I've got nieces and nephews that every year we have a family reunion, and they always there. And I got one that lives in Oklahoma, and they're scattered all around the state of Texas. But we always gather on Memorial Day and have a big time, and they get to tell about their families and all that kind of stuff, which I think is informative. It's great to know who your brothers and sisters were and your cousins and all that. And they all meet there, and we meet there down there, and all have a big time, a big meal. Of course, I'm a Christian. I think the mainest thing is to live a good straight life, you know. You're not going to go down there, hang around in places downtown at night and get by with anything. I'll tell you that. You know, those, and I know y'all don't do that probably, and I don't. And of course, I got a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, likes to drink, and I scold him about that once in a while, but he didn't crowd around on his wife and all that kind of stuff. And if he did, I'd be on his butt, big time. That's how I feel about it. Well, I like to do mechanic work, you know what I mean? I can run these big cranes you've seen. I can run them, I can operate them dudes.
Wow.
Or a bulldozer, I can run a dozer and all that kind of stuff. And I hired an old boy one time, and we had a brand new Caterpillar dozer, and we had a big sewer job in Dallas, and it come down where American Airlines Center is now, is right along in that area. Of course, it wasn't down there wasn't no buildings back there. And we put a 72-inch sewer line from way out on Hines Boulevard all the way down to Katy Street pump station. Then they sterilized and then now they got it, it dumps into the Trinity River down there nearly to Hutchins. And it's that away today.
Wow.
That they dump that sewage in the river. Well, the mainest thing that you have to see is the Magnolia Building, where the Flying Red Horse is. You know, back in them days, that was the tallest building in Dallas, and you could see that if you're coming in from the north or the south. You could see but you can't. You know, it's it's hard to see it now. We lived in Oak Cliff, and like I say, I was selling equipment. I've been to Bonham and all up through. I sold a bunch of stuff. I sold motor graders and all that kind of stuff to Canada. I'd been to Bonham, and I come back, and this is on a Friday afternoon, so we'd always talked about moving from Oak Cliff to around the White Rock area. You know, I don't know why we picked this part of town, but we did. And I come back, and there's only these streets was paved, but there's no houses. The only house was that right across the street. And an old boy is standing over there by this telephone post right here at the corner. I stopped and I said, "How are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm doing fine." I told him who I was, what I did, and all that kind of stuff. And he said, "Where you been?" I told him. And I said, "My wife, we live in Oak Cliff, but my wife, we'd sort of like to get in over around White Rock Lake somewhere." And he said, "Well, I own this lot here, and I own another one. on the next street over there. No houses anywhere. I said, how much do you want for it? He said, I want $7,500. I said, that sounds a little high. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you $5,500 for you and pay you out of my pocket. He said, I believe I'm going to take your money. So the next day we went down here at the courthouse, and I gave him his money. And I guess I don't know what that house number, but it's still down there. The street. But but looking downtown is all you could see. There wasn't none of that. And then Mr. Berry I worked for a long time. He bought, we had 25 acres right down there, right downtown. Down there where that big tall building is now. I don't know what building. What is,
Bank of America. The green one?
Yeah.
Yes, Bank of America.
Is that what that is? Well, we owned, we had a little shop down there that we did repair work in. And we owned, I think, 12 or 14 acres down there, or 16 acres.
Right downtown?
Right downtown. That's for the express coming out of Fort Worth to Dallas, the toll road deal.
30.
Yeah. Well, back in those days, you could sell it by the acre. Now if you bought it, you had to pay for it by the square inch, probably,
Yeah.
a square foot rather. And but life's been good to me.
Would you say overall that you've had a good life?
Good one, a good one. But I hope I'm like I've told you many times, I'm a Christian, and and the good Lord gets ready for me, I'm ready to go.
And you don't have any secret to share with how you managed to maintain such good health?
Well,
obviously, it's staying away from the alcohol.
I don't, yeah, I used to drink, but I seen that didn't work, and she told me, I need to stop that. And I cared more about my wife than I did to drink, so I quit. And I'd been over to a camp, we'd been over there deer hunting, and I smoked like I smoke a pack or maybe 2 packs a day.
How long? Like how many years did you?
Oh, God, I guess I must have smoked from the time I was in high school till then.
What made you
And
stop?
I was on
What made you stop?
What made me stop? Well, I was coming home on Highway 37 north of Mount Vernon. And I had a pack of Chesterfield in my pocket. And I undone that to get me a cigarette. I thought, how dumb can you be, Brown? I thumped that dude out and threw that pack of cigarettes out. I mean, the whole pack. And I don't know if somebody stopped and picked it up or not. But from that day till this day, I haven't touched it.
It was just like an epiphany that you had that you just had to stop?
I knew I needed to stop. You always talk about lung cancer and all that kind of stuff. And back in those days, well, that was, people getting sick and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's I don't know. I live a good, happy life. That's all I got to say.
One final question. I don't know, final, but just randomly. Do you have any memories of JFK assassination?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, were you in the area or just seeing it on the news around here, or anything you can tell us about that?
I was down at the farm, and I was had my oldest son down there with me. We was deer hunting, and he got assassinated in 63. In I believe it was Was it before lunch or after lunch? It was in the afternoon, wasn't it?
I think so, 11.
Yeah. And I went into my sister-in-law's and Merle's sister, and she said, y'all come up here and I'll fix lunch for you today. Y'all be over there hunting. And so I went into Mount Vernon, and my son, man, he's shooting at birds and everything, and he shot all his shells up. So I went into the hardware store there in Mount Vernon, and I walked up there, and I knew the old boy, and I said, give me a box of shells, 12-gauge shotgun shells. And he said, you know, the President of the United States just got killed, got shot in Dallas. I said, how much is a shell? And I thought he was kidding me. So I paid him for the shell and turned around and walked out. And I thought, what did he say? Got in my pickup and drove over to Merle's sister's house, and she had lunch, dinner ready for us, lunch ready. And we went in, and she had the TV on in another room, and she said, you know the President of the United States just got killed? I said, you're the second one that's told me that. I said, is dinner ready? Is lunch ready? She said, yeah. I ate lunch. We went over there, and we got a private cemetery. Not private, but I'm director in it, and I bought a bunch of land around it. So I went over there, and I was sitting out there. It's about time for the deer to start moving. And I got so sick, and I started crying. And I told my son, I said, son, let's go home. And I had a brand new Plymouth. At 83, it had a 5-point-something engine, and that sucker had 160 on the speedometer. And we came back to Dallas, came back home. And interstate, it wasn't no Interstate 30, it was Highway 67. It wasn't no Interstate 30 back in those days. I never seen a vehicle from Mount Vernon nearly till I got to Sulphur Springs. And then Sulphur Springs to Dallas, I didn't see nobody. Nobody was on the road. They was all home watching, of course, it's all on TV.
Wow.
That was a very sad day, too.
Well, thank you so much, Mel.
You bet,
Thank
you
for your
bet,
time.
you bet,
Thank you for
you
being
bet.
my friend.
You bet. I'm glad you're my neighbor, and good to meet you, young man.
Thank you. It's good meeting you too.
You bet.